I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and today I'll be reviewing this, the brand new BYD Dolphin. For me, this is one of my most highly anticipated drives of 2023, with the Dolphin joining the MG4 and the GWM Ora as one of Australia's most affordable electric cars. Now, we've been big fans of the MG4. I'll be comparing the Dolphin to the MG4 on a separate video on the channel, but in today's video, I'm going to do a standalone road test of this, the BYD Dolphin Premium. It's about 46 grand drive away here in New South Wales as it sits, so it is eligible for a range of incentives around Australia depending on where you live. Now, the jury is still very much out on the base model BYD Dolphin, which has a smaller battery, only 70 kilowatts of power, and a torsion beam rear suspension. That vehicle's about 40 grand drive away. We've already decided the base model MG4 is excellent for the same money. I don't think anyone has driven the base Dolphin yet, but I'm hoping to in future. So the one I've got here is the 46 grand Premium. Bigger battery, more than double the power, and a more sophisticated rear suspension. So we'll have to wait on deciding on the 40 grand car for another day. So make sure you hit subscribe to not miss that video when it comes out. But let's jump into our first review of the 2024 BYD Dolphin. Chasing Cars, honest reviews of your next car. Brought to you by Regenerative. So the Dolphin that I've got here today is the Premium. It's the middle spec car, which costs about 46 grand drive away. There is a lower spec dynamic grade. I don't think anyone's driven that car yet. The interior is not as premium in terms of its appointment. The car has way less power and a smaller battery. So very keen to get my hands on the 40 grand drive away dynamic. But I think, my hunch tells me that it's probably going to be worth spending 46 on the Premium. You get a much bigger battery, you get more than double the power, you get an independent rear suspension, and the interior is a bit nicer as well. So we're sitting on pretty comfortable seats, vinyl on the outside, neoprene in the center. The seats themselves are heated and they have electric adjustment. You don't get under thigh, much like you don't in an MG4 Essence. But, it's good enough, especially as a town car. Steering wheel is quite a big steering wheel, but it has plenty of adjustment. You've got a little digital screen just there. Looks a lot like that in the Volkswagen ID. Bit of a coincidence, and you can cycle through some of your trip computer info. But you've got a much bigger, better, brighter, crisper screen here in the center. It does have the trick that BYD likes, which is being able to move from portrait, which is a little bit hard to see with polarized sunglasses in Australia, to landscape, which works completely fine. The software is really great, very, very snappy. You do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto if you want to use that, but the inbuilt stuff is good. The car's got a data connection, it's got Spotify. The SIM card is from Telstra, but BYD haven't said yet how long they will provide free data for, but it currently has free data, which is great. In terms of material quality, it's reasonable, hard touch doors, but plenty of soft inserts around the place. Probably feels about right for the price, given this is an EV, so most of the money is tied up in the 60 kilowatt hour battery used by this car. Physical controls for things like volume, you've got your direction selector, but most of your climate control is going to be on the screen. Storage is good, big area down here, covered bin in front of your cup holders, little tray up here, wireless charging, and okay sized door bins too. The BYD Dolphin sits on a long wheelbase compared to its overall length, and much of that wheelbase is dedicated to backseat space. So even though in Australia, this class of car, small hatchbacks, they're not typically family cars anymore, they are still family cars in Europe, and that's why you can see BYD has chosen to make the back seat really big. This seat's in my driving position, 6 foot tall, 183 centimeters, and I've got good leg room. Toe room is tight, however. You could get somebody here in the center. There's a completely flat floor, and headroom behind the sunroof is actually fine for my height. The issue is the seat base is too low, so you really have to splay your legs in order to get comfortable. As it is, they are sitting with a gap between my legs and the seat, which is a bit unfortunate. In terms of amenities back here, there's a little bit of soft touch on the door, but not much. You get a single cup holder, 2 USB ports, seat back pockets, and a flip down armrest, which is nice with a couple more cup holders built into it. So while it's not the most comfortable place to spend time, it's spacious and very usable. Now, coming around to the back of the BYD Dolphin, I do actually like this combination of a gloss white and the darker grey roof and bonnet. I think it presents quite smartly. The Premium also has bigger alloys than the base model car. all in all, it looks good, though it does look narrow, particularly if you park it next to an MG4. Still says build your dreams on the back. We think BYD is going to get rid of that badge. This one's a lot harder to remove than on the larger Atto 3, which got a gold star from Chasing Cars on our small SUV mega test recently for high achievement. With that car, you could just take a bit of dental floss to the badge. This one is beneath a bit of plastic, so that's going to be a bit harder. But hey, whatever. Manual tailgate, that opens up, reveals 345 litres of space. Doesn't look like 345 litres, but aha, it is a double height boot floor with a big box underneath. That's where you can keep your charging cables and anything you want to be out of sight. Very flimsy little cargo shelf. It actually feels like a quality item, but there's no clips to keep it from just rolling around and getting in the way of the boot opening, which is sort of a rare clear negative for this car.
When it comes to range and charging, the BYD Dolphin Premium is pretty much middle of the range. The Dolphin Premium uses a 60.5 kilowatt hour usable LFP battery. We only had the car for a couple of days for now. A full highway range test is coming, but I did extensively test the Dolphin Premium's urban range. I recorded consumption of 14.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers in my real-world urban test. That's a range of 423 kilometers in town, which is pretty useful. When it comes to servicing, 5 years of servicing for the Dolphin comes to $1,384. The service intervals are 12 months or 20,000 Ks, which is different to the condition-based servicing of something like a Tesla Model 3. The warranty on the vehicle itself is 6 years with 150,000 kilometers of coverage. The battery warranty is 8 years with 160,000 kilometers.
So we're finally getting a drive of the BYD Dolphin. I remember doing a static walk-around review with this car like 2 years ago while the pandemic was still raging. We managed to get out of lockdown for a small amount of time and go and have a look at the Dolphin. That was a little pretty in pink car with a pink interior. It's now landed in Australia and BYD have toned it right down to be this far more grayscale, monotone car. It's quite a strong contrast to the Atto 3 in that regard, which still has that white, blue and red interior, which is so crazy, but everybody seems to like it. You can't actually get an expressive interior choice in the Dolphin right now, but in many other ways, it is a similar car to the Atto 3, similar in platform, similar in mechanicals, and the driving dynamics are clearly related because the Dolphin is tuned for comfort. And just like I said in our small SUV mega test where the Atto 3 came second out of 18 SUVs recently, I think BYD are judging what a lot of people want because this is not trying to be a sports car, it's trying to be a comfortable runabout, a comfortable commuter. And for that reason, it's not the sportiest option in the segment. It's not a Polo GTI rival or an i20N rival, and it's not even up to the standards of an MG4 on a country road. But it is more comfortable than those cars for commuting with a very sort of softly sprung, compliant ride. It doesn't give up too much body control, but there's occasionally a bit of pogoing from the suspension, just a single pogo, so maybe slightly underdamped at times. But most of the time, it's just super pleasant, super easy, and super comfy to drive, which is perfect for a car like this. As a second car, as something to drive to and from work, to and from the train station, it just cossets you, which is great. Interestingly, mechanically, we would have only driven the Premium, which has 150 kilowatts of power and 310 Newton meters of torque, which is heaps in a small car like this. And it puts down sub 7 seconds 0 to 100 times. I'll show you our independent performance testing now. It's definitely a quick little car, but it's a refined and smooth and efficient one at the same time. It just does have a nice turn of speed if you need it, which is always good. Regen braking is a little bit weak. Even in its heaviest setting, it's quite resistant to give you much strong regen. So you are having to use the brake pedal in this car more than some other EVs. A software update could fix that, and I think BYD should give it a bit more attention. The steering is not great. It's pretty feel-free and very light and unnatural in normal mode. So I found that I liked to put the steering in sport mode, which you can do independently of the powertrain. That doesn't fix the feedback, but it has at least given it a bit more weight, which is appropriate for this car. The refinement could be better. You get actually quite a lot of wind whistle from around the big mirrors, which do give you good visibility. They have got blind spot monitoring. You also have excellent visibility from the crystal clear and sharp 360-degree camera system on this car. It's already easy to park because it's under 4.3 meters long and it's also very narrow, so it's good for the city. but there's no excuse for hitting anything with the parking cameras that BYD have put on this, because they're really high quality, unlike some cars where the reversing camera can look like found footage from the 1980s. So all in all, it's an easy car to drive, a pleasant car to drive, but the big question mark is around the base model. $6,000 cheaper than this, so that sounds appealing, but you halve the power, more than halve it, it'll probably be pretty slow. The suspension is different to what's on this car, so I think we've got to get our hands on the Dynamic spec and road test that. Let me know if you agree. It'd be remiss of me not to mention the Linglong tyres fitted to the Dolphin here in Australia. In Europe, BYD has started fitting Hankooks, which are obviously a better known Korean tyre. The Linglongs, they're okay in the dry. They break traction a bit too easily when you accelerate hard. Personally, I'd be leaving money in the budget to replace them with a Continental or something like that, which is what we see as standard on the MG4. So that's my impression of the new BYD Dolphin, another impressive, affordable EV out of China. If I was Hyundai, if I was Kia, if I was Volkswagen, I'd be breaking the glass right now and hitting the red button for emergency, because these cars are on the road now, not in 2026, not in 2027. The MG4, the BYD Dolphin, to a lesser extent the GWM Ora, are already here, achieving highly at a price which many Australians can afford. Now, I don't think this is quite as rewarding to drive as a rear-wheel drive MG4, but the technology is sorted, the ride quality is excellent, the packaging is really impressive on this vehicle for such a small size. So I think if I was looking for an EV between 40 and 50 grand, the Dolphin would definitely be on my shortlist to at least test drive. Very keen to know your opinion, so let me know down below this video in the comments. While you're there, hit subscribe and the notification bell. And as always, thanks for watching Chasing Cars.